Hey, I went live a little bit earlier than the schedule said. I hope that's okay. I'm sorry about that. Honestly, Corey was sick. He woke up sick, I think, 2 days ago. And then yesterday, I got to be sick. And I guess today is Drennan's day. He was fine all morning and early afternoon, but then I guess he woke up from his nap feeling really bad. So I didn't know what to do because I had this live stream scheduled. So I thought, oh, I'll just lay in bed with Dren and we'll have a casual live. But poor kid just didn't know what to do with himself. He wasn't feeling good and he doesn't get sick ever. So I guess he just kind of had a little meltdown. So sorry about that. That's very rare for him. So congratulations. You got to see something really rare. But yeah, he's doing good now. He's settled watching Avatar with Corey. Earlier, I don't know how many of you guys were here 10 minutes ago, but when he was crying saying, I want wind, I couldn't figure out what he wanted, but he wanted to watch Avatar. So he's smart. What are our plans for Easter? Social distancing. I've mentioned this in a couple of my vlogs, but my parents live right next door to us. We live out in the country. We live on 9 acres. Yeah, we live on 9 acres. And then my parents have, I think, 10 acres. And we live right next to each other. So, and my mom and my Oma are both immune compromised, and I'm immune compromised. So our little bubble is the family. My mom, dad, Oma, me, Corey, Dren. So we're going to have Thanksgiving at my parents', Easter at my parents' house. Who's Harry Potter's main father figure in your opinion? I would think Arthur. He spends... Has my mic been muted this whole time, or did it just randomly mute itself? That was weird. Let me know if you can hear me okay. He spent most of his summers, not most, part of his summers with the Weasleys all the time. He really cared about Arthur. I mean, probably Dumbledore, but, you know, sometimes Dumbledore was around and sometimes he wasn't. Let's see. Thanks, Lynn. How much Animal Crossing have you played? Well, if you count when I was 15, 2 hours total. I don't even know if 15 is right, but back when I lived at home, we had Animal Crossing for one of our gaming consoles, and I played a little bit, but we never really got into it, and I've never played it as an adult. Oh, chat just jumped. This is always fun. Thanks, Lynn. Okay. Some favorite protagonists. Well, we have Locke from The Lies of Locke Lamora, the namesake of my cat. Let's see, what are some other protagonists that I love? I just immediately jumped to Locke and I was ready to answer the question. You know what's funny is, okay, Rand. Rand didn't win me over until maybe book 6. So it took a minute. But I think he's just an interesting character, not necessarily a good character, but an interesting one. Well-developed one. But other than that, Percy, really like Percy. I don't tend to attach to main characters. I usually just attach to side characters. Oh, chat just jumped again. Always good stuff. Have you read the Neil Gaiman book Coraline? No, I haven't. And it's on my top of my list of books by him that I want to read because it looks really interesting. What fictional character do you have a crush on? You know, I really don't do crushes on fictional characters too much. Like, there are characters that I'll read that I think, okay, like that's the type of personality that I am attracted to, but I don't ever really go to the point of like thinking about myself with them or thinking I would want to. Maybe it's because like I'm just happily married, so I'm like not really thinking. I don't know. I don't really do fictional crushes for some reason. Yeah, I mean, is that the first one or is that the second one? I don't know a lot about Percy Jackson. I just finished book 2. I said this on my other live stream before it, blew up. But Yeah, so Percy Jackson 1, Lightning Thief, loved it. Book 2, I didn't really like. And book 3, I will be reading. I'm going to continue on with the series. My mic randomly muted again. I don't know what's going on. A lot of people say the book 2 isn't great. Golly gee. Oh, okay. We'll go with this one. Have you read A Series of Unfortunate Events? No. Let's see. What does that say? What quality book would you recommend for a teenager to read? That's a good question. I mean, most books I would recommend are from like when I was a kid. So Harry Potter, Hunger Games. I'm trying to think of something recent that I've read. I always like I read mostly adult, but I read a good amount of young adults, and they kind of meld together to me. I kind of forget which one's which. Foundry Side, is that adult or young adult? That would be a good one. I really liked that one. What else have I liked? City of Brass. I think that's another adult one, but it would be a good one for young adults too. How do you feel about Annabeth? She's cool. She's cool. She is feisty, but a good friend to Percy. Percy's a good friend to her, more like. Have you ever thought about reviewing movies? Honestly, I don't watch movies. So I would be bad at it if I even tried. What does that say? Oh, hey, this is okay. So everybody call me after coffee. This is Bree. She's my gal. Go subscribe to her channel. I feel like the closest, I guess, to a crush is, oh, this person would make someone really happy, but not for me personally. Yeah. You get me. That's about how I feel too. Favorite, y'all are honing in on movies and TV. Adaptation, The Count of Monte Cristo. I liked that movie. Also, what? Jurassic Park. That was a great movie. So that was a really good adaptation as well. I have not, and I probably won't. Tips on setting up your own booktube channel. Here we go. Ready? Give yourself time. That's my number one tip. I get this email a lot. People will email me asking for tips on setting up a YouTube channel. And my answer is give yourself time. You probably won't even post your first couple videos that you record. And if you do, you're going to private them pretty soon because you're not going to be good at it right away. And that's fine. It's not talking to a camera like you're talking to people isn't a skill that you naturally have. It's a weird thing to do. Right now, like when I do it, I feel like I'm talking to you guys because I feel like I know you guys. And so I feel like this is just how we communicate and it's fine. But when you're first doing it and you don't have an audience and you don't know anybody online, it's not like you're talking to your subscribers and continuing conversation that you've been having over years. It's like, I'm just sitting in a room by myself talking to a camera. Am I okay? So you're gonna look awkward. You're gonna feel awkward. You're gonna act awkward. I certainly did. My first videos were real bad. And I don't know, like the first year I did YouTube, I was proud of my content at the time, and then I got better, and that's good. So just give yourself time. It's not gonna feel good at first, and it's not gonna look great at first. But the thing is that people really don't expect that much out of you. Like, as long as you have something to say and as long as you can articulate why you do and don't like books, then people are going to be happy to hang out with you. It doesn't really matter if you're a natural right out the gates, and people will find you. Do the BookTube newbie tag. People look for newbies to support by searching that tag. How often do you stay up late reading? Never. I'm not a night owl. I never have been. And I have a toddler. So I have to wake up in the morning no matter what. So I go to sleep at night. What advice do you give people who have family members who don't read but would really like certain books? That's That's interesting. I don't know because my whole family reads. And Corey, when I met him, he had read all of like 5 books, and that they were all when he was in the army. And so when he got out of the army, it's like I have no use for reading anymore. So I mean, what I did is any Christmas, birthday, anniversary, I don't know what's going on with this mic thing. Instead of asking for a gift from Corey, I would ask him to read a book, and I would give him 3 books to choose from, and he would pick one. And he always loved it. He always had a great time reading, but then he wouldn't pick up another book because he had other things that he cared more about. And so the next time I was to get a gift, he would read another book. So I guess you could try that tactic. I don't know if your family members would go for it, but it's worked for me. I was love you too. I was motivated to read/buy books again because of your videos. You're currently my favorite content creator. Wow, that's so nice of you. Thank you. Have you played D&D? Ha, let's talk about that. No, but I have created my character and I have my campaign set up. Actually, this really awesome girl messaged me on Instagram and said that she would help me learn how to play D&D. And she said that she would create a campaign for me and walk me through it and get me started on all that. And and so then she was asking me some questions and I didn't know what I was talking about. So I asked Daniel those questions, and then Daniel was like, hey, can I play too? And I was like, yep. And then I told her, is it cool if he plays too? And then Corey was like, well, if Daniel's playing, I want to play. So then we had a full-blown campaign. So yeah, Corey and me and Daniel and one of Daniel's friends from college, plus this awesome lady that messaged me, Dry is her name, messaged me on Instagram. So we have a campaign starting on Sunday, Easter, but we're all self-isolating. So what are we going to do? So yeah, we have a campaign starting and I'm excited and I'm going to learn how to play. I still don't really know what I'm doing, but I made my character. Actually, my friend in Canada, who I've known for over 10 years now, crazy, he has been helping me with my character because he's super into D&D. And I've been asking him tons of questions while I've been creating my character. And I'm really, really excited. I'm a thief and slightly evil, but loyal to my crew. I'm basically Locke. Lamora. That's who my character is. But I'm also a Ginny airbender. So I don't really know what I'm doing. I have a Peter Pan related thing that I'm going to send you when I'm able. Oh, that's so nice. That's so sweet of you. Peter Pan is my favorite thing ever. Can you tell us about your character? Yeah. Let me pull up my character sheet real quick. Okay. My name is Adria Blackheart. I let my friend who helped me create this character name her. So that's her name. She is a Rogue One Air Genocide. She's a criminal / spy. And let me tell you my backstory real quick. If I can find that part. Is it cool to tell you guys this? Is there some sort of secrecy I'm supposed to have? My parents died when I was young. I was taken in by a kind family who gave me food and a place to stay. I would do anything for them, but my other family are the ones that taught me how to melt into the shadows, to steal without getting caught, to use my airbending, sort of. I'm still inexperienced and I wasn't raised by my own race, but I'm picking it up and getting better every day. My crew dispersed and I'm looking for a new adventure. If I meet any of my enemies along the way, all the better. Personality traits. I always have a plan for what to do when things go wrong. First thing I do in a new place is note the locations of everything valuable or where such things could be hidden. Do you guys want me to tell you this stuff? Allies, organizations, ideals, bonds, flaws. Maybe this is more information than you guys actually wanted. Hang on, I missed a super chat. I got a writing sprint coming up and I got to bounce. Have a great stream. Here are some here's some Skrilla for the channel. I love your content. Thanks. That's awesome. Who is your favorite Stormlight character? Reading Words of Radiance right now. That's a good question. I'm going to start my reread of Stormlight with my Patreons next month in May, we're going to read The Way of Kings. So favorite character is probably, that's hard. Syl has been my favorite from the beginning. And then Kaladin slowly became one of my favorites, but it might be Dalinar. I think it might be Wait, are we talking about side characters too, or just main characters? Because if we're talking about side characters too, it's Rock. Rock is always going to be my favorite. Any chance you'll stream it? The D&D? Nah. Corey and I have never played before, and it's just friends hanging out. It's not something we'll stream. Sounds like Locke. Thank you. Appreciate that. Let's see. Thoughts on Dumbledore? Whew. Right now, I like him, but boy, is that man layered. There will be a character analysis coming eventually. Of course, you're Locke. I know. You know what's funny is Daniel and Corey made their characters, and their characters are like so similar to them, just, bigger versions. And, like Daniel's after knowledge, and Corey is like a soldier who, is hardened. Not Corey's not hardened. Corey's a softie, but you know what I mean? Like I see them. I got muted again. And then I'm like an evil thief. Like, did I do it wrong? Let's see. Do you like cooking? If so, have you ever thought of making Harry Potter themed dishes? I do like cooking. There it is again. I do like cooking. I've never made Harry Potter themed dishes. I feel like I'm a good cook, but I'm not necessarily a creative cook. Like, I don't make dishes. I just make food. Do you plan to write any book or series, having read so many books? This is a good question. Okay, we'll talk about that. So back in the day, before I had a YouTube channel, I wrote a dystopian book. I did it for fun. And then I had a channel. I talked about it some. I wanted to share it. My subscribers, my 100 subscribers wanted to see it. So I regret this. What I did was I went through self-publishing through Amazon, through CreateSpace, and just made it available for the least amount of money I could on Amazon so that people could read it, because I didn't do any research and I didn't know that there were ways to share books in other ways. And, it was just me sharing my story. And then when my channel got bigger, people thought that I was a writer and thought that I had been published. And, people were asking me writing questions and, asking when the next book was coming out and all this stuff. And I realized that I went about it the wrong way, because I'm not trying to be a published author. I don't really have any intention in that. I was just kind of I wrote a fun story. I shared it with some people and I just did it in a way that looked different than I meant for it to look. So I took it down off Amazon and I shared it on Wattpad instead. And this is a book that I'm telling you guys, I wrote it back in 2015. I had fun writing it. It was a great time, but it's not the kind of story I would write now. But there's still a lot of confusion around it, and it's because of the way I did it, and I feel bad about that. So I still write sometimes because I think it's a fun thing to do. I'm actually currently writing this killer mermaid horror story that is just a blast. But I don't really know that I'll ever share anything I write again, because it's kind of tricky having a platform. Now, let me be clear. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a platform and writing a book and being an author. I think that's great. Good for you. If you can write a book, do it. But it's kind of tricky in my position because my platform is about books. And then if I write something and I want to share it, it's kind of hard to get it across correctly for why I write. I just write as a fun outlet, as a fun release, to just write a story. I don't do it because this is something I'm trying to do. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know that I'll ever share one of my stories again, just because I don't know that I don't know that there is a way to share it and make clear what I want out. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I think writing's just going to be something that's mine. I think it's just something that I'm going to do for fun. And I don't know that I'll really add any more books to my Wattpad. or share them in any other way, because it's kind of just like a hard thing to help people understand that, like, no, I'm not published. I didn't go through a publisher. I don't want people to think that I've accomplished something that I haven't. Do you know what I mean? It's hard to explain. Sequel to Perfection. I wrote it. I loved it. It was fun. I had a great time doing it. But like I said, I don't really know how to handle this. I don't know how to share these stories, because it just, so many booktubers want to be authors, and I think that's amazing. And I think that if you can write a good book, you should. Like, it makes sense. People who read a ton and who critically look at and analyze books, that's awesome. If you can then write one, good for you. That's amazing. But like, I don't know how to separate myself from what that usually looks like when a booktuber writes something, and like not give off the wrong impression. Do you know what? I feel like I communicate this so poorly. Okay, let's talk about something else. Rogues are fun to play. Barbarian is a personal favorite class. I originally was a druid, I think, and then I messaged my campaign party, what are they called? And I was like, hey, can I change it? Because I just finished reading over all the classes and I chose one way too soon, and I really want to be a rogue. So I think it'll be fun. There it is. I'm so glad you started the Avatar series. I'm obsessed with it, and it's great when one of my favorite YouTubers and the series comes. Mike was muted. Yeah, it's super fun. I liked season 1. Well, I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. But season 2, I'm loving. Let's see. Do you have any recommendations for YA fantasies? You know, I really don't read a lot of YA fantasy because I'm such a big fan of hard magic systems, epic world building, and there are YA fantasies that are like that, but more often than not, I see that more in adult fantasy. So I don't really read very many YA fantasies. Duel of Fire is probably my favorite YA fantasy. Oh, chat just jumped. Sorry. Trying to find my place. I've been listening to your videos while I work on my first novel. It's sci-fi, and I've noticed you don't have a lot of videos about sci-fi. Favorite sci-fi books? That's a good question. I just recently got into sci-fi. So I think I've mostly been reading classic sci-fi. I loved Ender's Game, and I love Isaac Asimov's work. I just read Jurassic Park, and it was amazing, which I don't think that would be considered classic because it was published in 1990. Let's see, what else have I read? Skyward. That was a YA modern sci-fi. Skyward by Brandon Sanderson, and I really enjoyed that too. You know, my friend, I'd love to give you recommendations for good mermaid books, but they're not there. Into the Drowning Deep was good. It's just that most mermaid books are about an evil mermaid who then falls in love and then she's fine. And being stuck at home, I really need more books. Got any recs for someone who loved Sanderson? You can try the Gentleman Bastard series. It's very different from Sanderson. Authors that are similar to Sanderson, you should try the Wheel of Time series. Robert Jordan's writing style is really similar to Brandon Sanderson, and Sanderson finished the series. I think you should try Name of the Wind. It's a really, 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 really different writing style, and some people love it, some people hate it, but I think it's worth trying at least. The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And let me see if I can think of no. If you said you love Sanderson, I shouldn't. I'm going to recommend the First Law trilogy. It's nothing like Sanderson, but you should read it. Most mermaid books are it's like the romanticized version of mermaids, right? Like, I don't know. Like, if you look into the lore of mermaids, they're these evil, evil creatures. And I just love it. And every time I try to pick up a book that says, oh, these are evil mermaids, these are evil sirens, and they're not. They're not. They start off mildly kind of morally gray, and then they fall in love, and then they're fine. And I just, if I'm going to pick up a mermaid book, it's because I want to see people's faces eaten. You cut last stream on a Red Rising question and never answered. I strongly recommend if you like Hunger Games, Ender's Game, Star Wars, or Marvel books and authors. So, Red Rising is a book that I DNF'd. And I am going to give it another try. I had a hard time with it because it's a pretty slow start, which everybody pretty much agrees on. And Darrow wasn't an interesting protagonist. And then when the woman in the refrigerator trope came up, I was just like, you know what? I don't like this book. I'm out. But I will give it another try because it's so well loved. So yes, I'm going to read Red Rising. And it's so short. I just have so many books that I'm excited about that I don't reach for it. Any nonfiction recommendations? Yes. I'm only recently getting into nonfiction, but I loved How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, I think. That was probably my favorite. I also really liked Communication and Love in Marriage and The Woman with Seven Names, Things I Want to Tell My Son About the World, I think is what it's called. It's by Frederick Bachman. And more Peter Pan mermaids. What are you on about? Yeah, I haven't read enough nonfiction yet, but I am reading at least one nonfiction a month, and I want to start doing even more than that. Will you talk about your connection to Wuthering Heights? Interesting question. What do you mean by my connection to it? Like why I like it so much? That is a deep question that you're asking me. Let me decide if I want to go there. Wuthering Heights is you're asking me deep questions, is a story about people that have been hurt in a cycle in their families, and they hurt the people around them. And it's a cycle. It's generation by generation. They hurt each other, and they're just in this pattern of pain. And I view it as, I mean, it's a tragedy. I know a lot of people call it a romance, but it's not. It's a tragedy. And I view it as like a story about hurt people hurting people, and when you've been abused, how easy it is to become the person you hate the most, which happens in that book. The person that you hate more than anyone else in the world, you start looking exactly like them. And that's a reality. You know, the thing that you fixate on the most is the thing that you're most likely to look like, which is why forgiveness is so important, and being able to let go of things despite how hard, trust me, I know, despite how hard it is to let go of things. Even though PTSD doesn't just get erased, you can still not hang on to and fixate. And speaking from my own experience, I feel like when I was reading Wuthering Heights, I felt like I was looking into a mirror in an alternate universe. And if I hadn't learned to let go and not be healed from, but just not fixate on what I could have turned into, what my life could have looked like if I hadn't been able to just, I think it's a deep story, man. I think it's a deep story. Let's see. Please read A Song of Ice and Fire. I have decided that my plan with A Song of Ice and Fire is I'm going to reread book 1 and 2 when book whatever, the last book is officially announced, the published date is set. Because I didn't enjoy it enough to want to go through it again without knowing that there's actually going to be a solution. So when there's a solution and it's promised and not just like maybe someday, but it's actually here's the published date, it's happening. I'm going to reread the books that I've read. And I know people will recommend I don't care. I'm going to need to in order to really remember. So I'm going to reread the books I read and I will give it another go. See if I can get through it this time. Super sticker. Thank you. Any plans to read The Dark Tower? You know, Stephen King is still an author that I'm not entirely sure about. I have loved some of his books and I haven't loved other ones. So I think Dark Tower isn't on my list right now. If I end up falling in love with him as an author, then someday. But right now, there are other books that I'm more excited about. His one book, 116277, that's not it. But that book is probably the next one I'm going to read by him, is my guess. Oh. Is your cat named after the philosopher? He's named after Locke Lamora from The Lies of Locke Lamora by Scott Lynch. My favorite book series. Wait, have you read manga? Yes. I read Death Note and I loved it so much. And I'm currently reading through Full Metal Alchemist. Oh my golly. Oh, chat keeps jumping. No, does he have a middle grade series? I know he has some young adult series. He has the Skyward and the sequel to that, and then he has the Steelheart. But I didn't know he had a middle grade series. Can we bribe you to suffer through? You don't have any faith, Shannon. You don't have any faith that he's actually going to put that last book out. No, you can't bribe me. You're funny. Who is your favorite Harry Potter character? I think Remus Lupin is probably Neville is my favorite, but Remus Lupin is probably my favorite after him. But I love Hagrid and, oh, okay, I guess I'm answering this one now. I think maybe it's a different author and I'm mistaken. Yep, sure. I don't know what the arithmetist is, so probably I clearly am a fake fan. It's never coming out. Well, then why would I read the books? I mean, I guess I get that. I get it. Scott Lynch's series may never be finished either. The Name of the Wind series may never be finished, and that's fine. It's up to the author's discretion. I'm not gonna be a fan that's banging at their door telling them they owe me a book. But I just didn't enjoy it enough to want to read it again if there's not going to be a solution. I know that people don't like that I didn't enjoy it enough, but I didn't. Oh, well, thank you, Unreal Punk. Favorite fantasy tropes? I love hidden doorways. I love the wise old mentor that teaches you. Any kind of relational trope, like found family. I just really like strong friendships and strong bonds. Oldest book I've read, like oldest physically, because I have a Peter Pan book that's from like almost the year it was published. But do you mean oldest book that's been published? I don't actually know. I'm not good at keeping up with publication dates. Is Iroh a mentor though? At least not in season 1. He's just like the friendly uncle. Favorite author is Frederick Bachman. Guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure. I think I really like Okay, you want me to be a contradiction, Allie? Is that what you're going for? Here you go. Here's my contradiction. I think I really like the guard and like princess trope romance, which I mean, as much as I hate power imbalances in a relationship, that doesn't make any sense. But I guess everybody contradicts themselves sometimes. Have you ever read *The Court of Thorns and Roses* by Sarah J. Maas? My friend is getting me to read it, and I can't even with this book. It seems terrible, but I love your opinion on it. You know, I'm not a Sarah J. Maas fan. Yeah, I've read it, and I can't even with it either. Ever think about reading *The Land* by Alaron Kong? You know, I've never heard of that, but let me just, *The Land*, I will look it up after this live stream. Okay. Which do you think is a better genre to write? A premiere novel, fantasy, or sci-fi/adventure? I guess whatever you want to write. I think that all of these. Oh, you mean as your debut, what would be better? Fantasy, sci-fi? Okay, fantasy or a sci-fi adventure. I got you. Sci-fi. As long as you're willing to do your research, I would say sci-fi, because with fantasy, you have to keep up with, I guess it depends. You could write a soft magic system, but with fantasy, you're going to have to keep up with your rules and laws and boundaries and all that jazz. And that might be a little bit more tricky with your debut. But with sci-fi, as long as you're willing to do your research, I think that you can keep it. I think either one can be more, you can do either one, whichever one you want to write. Which do you think is, oh, okay, cool. We read that. Let's move forward. Thank you for all your content. The Snape analysis was gold. Thank you. I've never worked for a video like I worked for that video. I loved doing it, but by the end, I was telling my dad, because he's super interested in my channel, because it just baffles him that 100 and however many people watch my videos, which I mean, me too. So I don't blame him. And I was telling Dad about that, and I was telling him how many hours I had sunk into researching that video, and how many hours I sunk into editing that video. And he was like, "What is this video about?" And I said, "It's an analysis on Severus Snape." And he's like, his whole demeanor just dropped, and then he just walked away. And I was like, "Man, me too." By the end of it, that was how I was feeling too. Like, if this video flops, I might die because I put so much of myself into it. But I was so surprised at how much love it got. I fully expected it to go bad, and for the comment section to be unreadable. But it was really great. And people's responses were really thoughtful, and no matter where people landed, it was a great discussion, and I was really, really happy with that. So I'm going to do more of those videos over time. Thought of reading Dark Matter by Blake Crouch. I have read it, and I gave it 5 stars. I loved it. Thoughts of doing an Avatar live reaction video. That would be so fun. I don't know. Oh, okay. I don't know. I'm not sure if I would do that or not. I'm definitely going to keep reviewing the seasons as I finish them. If you want to try another author, you should try Charles Martin. Writing style is different than any other reads, and I've been loving. Okay. Charles Martin. I will look him up. Thank you. Would you consider reading Shakespeare? I actually just bought my first Shakespeare right before the quarantine. I just don't know where to start with Shakespeare, or if I should even read him, because I've heard that your Shakespeare is meant to be watched as a play and not read as a script. So I don't know if I'm supposed to read it or if I'm supposed to just watch. I don't know how to start Shakespeare. I need to look up videos on like introductions to Shakespeare. Start with Hamlet. You know, that's funny. Do you guys like John Krasinski? He's been doing these YouTube videos called Some Good News. And basically, during this pandemic, he is devoting a YouTube channel to just sharing good news that's happening around the world. And it's the best thing ever. And he, in his most recent episode, had the entire Hamilton cast, I think, on his video, and they performed a song. You guys should look that up. And that was the first Hamilton song I've ever watched or heard. I've never actually heard a Hamilton song before. And it was really good. And so Corey and I were looking it up and we were like, what is this even about? And why is it a thing? And should we watch it? So I may be looking into that. From one mom to another, what are some novels or series you are really excited to share with your son when he's older? I think I'm just excited to share with him everything that I've loved. I'm excited for him to read through Harry Potter and the Hunger Games. I think just the stories that I grew up loving. I'm excited to see if he loves them too. I'm so happy, buddy.
We're gonna watch Chuggington on TV.
That sounds good.
TV.
You feeling a little bit better?
Yeah.
That's good. You want to say hi to the camera now?
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Good job, buddy.
And look what he has.
Oh, did you buy a cookie?
He bought a cookie too.
And
M&M's.
M&M.
Did you already take a bite out of it?
Look.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad it didn't come like that.
Imagine.
I'll just leave right here on the table so it doesn't get cold.
That's
That'll work. Yep.
All right.
He wants to watch Chuggington on the TV.
Sure. I'll just move to my office.
Yeah, you better.
The TV works.
Oh, the TV
Does it
works.
work?
Yeah, no
That's
problem.
good. Okay.
Actually,
Actually, the
the TV
TV works. So they're going to watch Chuggington now. They were just playing outside, and apparently they went and got a cookie because we have a Hardee's nearby. Let's see. Which Drennan loves getting cookies, but he doesn't actually eat them. He just likes getting them. Let's see. Where did you get the name Drennan from? It's really cool. Thanks. That was Corey's granddad's name. His granddad was a big part of his life. And he passed away right after we got married. And we were looking up names. And I just said, what about Drennan? And Corey was like, that's my granddad's name? And I said, yeah. And he's like, I want it. And our next kid, we're going to give my grandpa's name, who just passed away. Drennan is actually his middle name. And we're going to give our next kid my papa's middle name as well. He's in a much better mood. I know. I just think waking up not feeling good really threw him because he usually wakes up in a great mood and he just didn't know how to deal. So I'm glad he's feeling better. I can hear them. Have you finished the Wheel of Time yet? I am almost done with Wheel of Time book 12. I'll have it done tomorrow for sure. I'm only 150 pages from the end, and it's fantastic. And then I'll only have 2 more books, which is kind of sad. My name is my grandmother's middle name. Aw, I love that. See, that's just beautiful. When you have a close family, that's just a beautiful thing, I think. What are some of your thoughts on Daniel Green's magic system? It's freaking awesome. That's my thought. Dadgummit. Yeah, I really like it. Actually, when he sent me his document, what's it called? Docs, to get my feedback on it, I was like, I don't want to spoil anything if you guys haven't watched that video yet. But when he was talking about how you can't grab people with the magic, but you can grab people's clothes and hair. And I was like, well, does your society have nudists? Because I feel like people would just not wear clothes and shave their heads to try to avoid this. But I thought it was such a smart magic system. I loved the boundaries that he created. I loved the consequences he created. There's not just some big, even with the part of his magic that's this is the thing that's really hard to master and only few people can master, and it gives you more power, that even still has boundaries. So it's not you can have one character that just okay, he learned it, so we're all screwed. You know, it's just a really smart magic system. And I was asking him more questions after I read that, and I was asking him about like his character and the relationship between the character and the magic system and all that, which I know he's saving some of it, but to make you guys feel good about it, all of his answers were really exciting, and he is making something really, really unique. And I'm just like, he's a smart guy, you know? Like, that's just cool. He created something really cool. Do you like urban fantasy, like the Dresden Files or Mercy Thompson series? You know, I don't read very much urban fantasy at all. I love fantasy to do with magic systems, but I don't like magic. I don't like fantasy to do with creatures, unless we're talking killer mermaids. So I am going to read the Dresden Files, though, because I feel like that's a series that could prove me wrong. I'm in such a reading slump. Any tips? When I feel like I'm feeling a slump coming on, I always pick up one of my old favorites, because then it just reminds me, it's like coming home to one of my favorite worlds and some of my favorite characters, and it just reminds me how much I love reading. So do that if you like rereading. I don't know. I've never heard of that, probably. Two. I love them too. Yes, I finished The Sea of Monsters. I did not love it, but I will still read book 3. Oh man, the chat jumped. You know, I was interested in reading The Institute when it first came out, but I've read some reviews on it and I'm less excited now. I think it may be one of his flops, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Did you guys like Daniel's magic system when you watched the video? I feel like I know he got a really positive feedback, like a lot of really positive feedback. And I think he deserves it. What is your Hogwarts house? I'm a Ravenclaw. I was a Gryffindor as a kid. And then when I met Corey, he was like, no, you're not a Gryffindor. You're a Hufflepuff. And I was like, okay, I don't know what I am, honestly, because Gryffindor didn't quite feel right. But Hufflepuff, I could see a little bit of Hufflepuff in me, but I just didn't know. And but he was sure I was a Hufflepuff. And so I took the test, and then I was a Ravenclaw. And I was like, I like this. I could dig Ravenclaw. And then he has decided that I'm a squib. So makes me feel good. Why won't this one go up on the screen? Huh. Okay, well, I can't click this one, so I'll just read it. Oh, just kidding. Have you read The Middle Master of Head? What? Or anything from... No, I don't know what any of these things are. Both are older fantasy, and I recommend both. No. But let me just highlight this comment and paste it over here. And I will come back and look those up. Thank you. I haven't read very much classic fantasy, I don't think. You think I would be a waterbender? Tell me why. I think I would be an airbender, which is generic. Who wants to be the thing the main character is? Because then you just look like you're jumping on the train of, oh, I'm an airbender too. But before I ever watched Avatar, elemental magic was one of my favorite magic systems. And I've always thought that airbending sounded the most interesting to me. But I have always said that waterbending is a close number 2. So I could definitely see myself as a waterbender as well. Have you heard of the Perrin Chronicles? It's really good. It's a really good self-published trilogy that you'd like. The author would also be open to interviews. Cool. No, I have not. But I will look it up. Thank you. Can you answer chat questions too? I am. I'm just, it's kind of hard to balance them, but I am. It's just there's a lot of them. You and Daniel are our favorite booktubers. Between the two of you, you have been inspired us to start our own channel. Oh, I love that. That's so cool. Murphy, you'd be a waterbender because I feel you'd be able to adapt to situations and go with the flow. Airbenders are more spiritual and removed but waterbenders are more versatile. Cool. I'm pretty spiritual and removed. I'm definitely, I stay in my house 90% of the time, but I definitely am someone that's easy to adapt to things. Just whatever happens, I can generally keep a pretty good attitude and just say, all right, we're doing this now. Let's do it the best we can. So I can see water bending in me as well. Can you rank all the Wheel of Time books like you did for the Harry Potter? Yes, I think I can. And I have thought about doing it. Yes, this is an author that I plan on following. I'm going to read the next book after Jurassic Park. I know that he wrote it under pressure, and so it's hard. It's hard because if he meant it to be a standalone, I want to read it as a standalone. You know, I don't really like reading books that authors didn't really want to publish. But I really want to read the sequel. So I think I'm going to. And then I want to check out, there's a lot of books that people have recommended to me by him. He's another author that I'm just going to follow for a while because I loved that book. Have you ever heard of Saga? It's an incredible comic book series, sci-fi space opera, but for me it was actually about friendship and family. The artwork is amazing. I think you would love it. I have heard of Saga. It's a pretty popular comic, I think, and I haven't read it. I checked it out. I checked to see if my library had it, and they don't. So I'm probably just going to ask for it for my birthday or something. But yes, I'm going to read it. Maybe Murphy's actually the Avatar. I don't think I would be an earthbender. I could see air and water in me for sure. And I could potentially, there's Full Metal right there. And I could potentially see fire, but not as much, but I don't think I'd be an earthbender. Any new comfort reads? Comfort read. I think just rereading my old favorites are my comfort reads. I'm not sure that I have any new comfort reads. Oh, chat just jumped. Have you ever read anything by Scott Westerfield? He wrote Uglies, Pretties, etc., as well as The Midnighters. I think you'd really like him. I DNF'd Uglies, but I'm willing to give another one of his books a try. And I don't think I've tried anything else by him. Dune. Just Dune. Just Dune? Question mark? I'm starting it as soon as I finish Wheel of Time tomorrow. I'm going to start Dune. So, yes, Dune. Have you heard of His Dark Materials trilogy? Yeah, a subscriber sent me the whole trilogy, so I will be reading them. Have you read Colleen Hoover? I have. I don't know, man. Prob's just not the author for me. I'm sending you an annotated copy of The Amber Project. Yes, I do remember. Yes, thank you so much. That's going to be awesome to read another person's annotations. That's so cool. Least favorite genre of books? I don't know. I read most genres. I guess like detective mysteries is probably my least favorite. Your thoughts on e-readers? I mean, I don't have any thoughts about like, should you, shouldn't you? I don't read them because I spend so much time looking at screens. I do all my critique work on my computer. So I'm looking at a screen for a good portion of the day. And then I do all my video editing on a computer. So I'm staring at a screen some more. And I know that there are e-readers like Kindle Paperwhite that are meant to be like a paper. But the thing is, my eyes go through so much. Like between my work and my favorite pastime, which is reading, I'm constantly straining my eyes. So if I am going to read, I want to read in the best way possible for my eyes' health. Because every time I go to the eye doctor, I kid you not, every single time, he'll check my eyes. And then about halfway through the appointment, he'll pull the contraption away from me and get a tissue out and say, let me just clean this off, make sure there's not a smudge. Every single time. He forgets that he does it, but he does it every time. And then he'll put it back in front of my eyes and I'll read the stuff again and he'll say, nope, there wasn't a smudge, because my eyes are deteriorating so fast that my eye doctor every time thinks that there must be a smudge and not just my eyes are that broken. And he says that I have an astigmatism, and that's why they're deteriorating so fast. But I also think it's because I put so much strain on them, constantly staring at a screen. And then when I'm not staring at a screen, I'm staring at a paper. Like, I'm always using my eyes. They never just chill out. And I'm trying to listen to more audiobooks now. Physical reading is my favorite. So that used to be primarily what I did, but I'm trying to transition to doing more audiobooks in the last year or two, because I want to give my eyes more of a break than I have been doing. So if I feel like reading, but I've been staring at a screen all day, I want to listen to an audiobook and like clean the kitchen or something instead of sit down and read. Which Ilvermorny house are you? I have no idea what that is. I don't know. That's the American Harry Potter, isn't it? I think I took the quiz, but then when I took the quiz, I'm pretty sure it just said, you're this weird house name. And then like they didn't give me information about that house. So I didn't remember it. I don't know what my Ilvermorny house is. Have you looked into the author Tamora Pierce? You know, that sounds like a familiar thing. I feel like that's been recommended to me, but no, I don't think so. Read the third Malazan book. Here's another thing people are going to tell me not to do, and I'm going to do anyway, but I haven't actually talked about it on my channel yet. I'm going to restart the Malazan series and reread the first 2 books. And I know people are going to tell me not to do it, but I'm going to do it. So I made a mistake, and I started reading Malazan while I was in the middle of Wheel of Time. I don't know what I was thinking. So I have these 2 massive worlds with massive magic systems and massive cast of character, and I'm trying to simultaneously keep them straight and remember what's being said to me. And I realized that was just really dumb. And I know that you're supposed to be confused after the first 2 Malazan books. Like, I know that it'll come together later. It doesn't come together while you're reading it. But I feel like I'm more lost than I should be. So I'm going to, after I finish Wheel of Time, I'm going to restart Malazan and try again, and maybe actually do book reviews this time, because that's how I need to do it. They're a really good fantasy middle grade series called Nevermore. Oh, yeah. But it's under hype. Is it? So I'd really appreciate if you read and reviewed it. I feel like I've heard about Nevermore so much on BookTube, and I just haven't picked it up yet. But my friend, Bree, just picked it up and loved it. So I think I will too. I subbed because I like the idea of reading, but I don't like reading. How do you learn to like reading? Wow. You learn to like reading by picking up a book and trying to read. I think, like, Corey thought that he didn't like reading until I told him what to read. And then he read books that were amazing. And then he loved reading. He mostly listens to audiobooks now. He doesn't really sit down and read a physical book. But at least he's getting stories in. And he loves stories now. So I guess just find someone who knows you well, who loves reading, and who can give you a book recommendation for a book that is right for you. Because I think a lot of times the issue is that you haven't picked up the right book for you. I mean, I don't know, maybe you just genuinely don't like the physical act of reading, and audiobooks would be better for you. But I think a lot of it is just finding the right story. How often people tell you you look like young Linda... What? Hang on. Linda Carr. Okay. Oh, Freaks and Geeks. Yeah, that's one that I get a lot. You know, I must just have a really familiar face, because I can't post a video without people telling me you look like this famous person. So she's one I get. Yep. Actually, honestly, that's probably my favorite one that I get. I get compared to a lot of celebrities, and that's probably the one that I see the most resemblance in and appreciate the most. Most of them, I'm just like, okay, thanks for telling me I have a familiar face. But that one, I'm like, hey, freaks and geeks. All right. You read so many books. Do you have any recommendations for books that deal with the loss of a child? Ouch, not necessarily death, just separation. No, that is a tough subject and not one that I have read much from because it's a little bit too terrifying. I did just read, it's right here. There it is, Little Secrets, but it's a thriller, so it's probably not what you're looking for. You're probably looking more for like a nonfiction, something to help process and not something that's using it as a device. And I don't have something like that. I'm sorry. But people in the chat, there's the name, tag him, and help him out, please, because I would like to have a better answer for you than what I have. Any advice on encouraging my 14-year-old cousin to read more? I've been trying to get him to pick up Skyward because I think he'll love it, but he's just not interested. Man, I don't know how to make people read, guys. I mean, my niece, you guys know, loves reading suddenly, and then my other niece, her sister, does not love reading. And so, like, I'll take the girls to a bookstore and let them pick out whatever they want. And my niece that isn't into reading, she wants to go too because it's a trip with me to a store and I'm going to buy them things. So it's exciting. And she always picks out graphic novels because she doesn't have an attention span for a full novel. And I buy her graphic novels because why not? You know, like you're reading, that's good for your brain. Who cares if it's a graphic novel instead of a traditional novel? So I think maybe just flexibility, because I do think that eventually she's going to like reading more if she can find the right story. But for now, I'm just grateful that she's reading it all. So I'm going to support that. So maybe just take your cousin to a bookstore and buy him the book that he picks out. And that'll be a treat for him instead of just, great, you gave me another book. How do you feel about a character rebirth where the implications surrounding the rebirth isn't paid off until the next book? I think that the other elements of the book would have to be really, really, really strong for that to work. Because if that's the climax of the story, I think I would be disappointed because it's hard to pick up the next book when the first book disappointed. So the other elements of the story would have to carry me into the next book in order for me to get to that payoff. So as long as everything else is strong, it could work, but everything else would have to be strong. Ooh, this is good advice. Perhaps pick a book from his favorite video games or movies. This is good advice. My coworkers, wait, he was never my coworker. My old boss's son, who used to come into the office and hang out with me all the time, he loved movies and I loved books. And so he wanted me to watch one of his favorite movies. And I told him only if you'll read the book it was based off of. So I bought him the book and he read the book and I watched the movie and he loved it because it was his favorite story. So getting more depth into his favorite story was a great experience for him. And I ended up enjoying the movie too. So maybe try something like that. I know you have dyslexia, but do you have ADHD? No. Hey, it's Michael. Here's another channel that you guys should subscribe to. He's hilarious and ridiculous. His last video was just golly, Michael. Okay. How do you schedule out your video ideas? Do you plan a lot or do you just do what you're feeling? I have a board where I write everything out and write notes. And then I have Google Docs for the videos that take more planning. And so I can like write down everything that I need to know before I actually do the video. I do a lot of planning for there are some videos that are more spontaneous and just like a chat, but the videos that I do a lot of planning for my videos. I put a lot of thought into them because I feel like the videos the videos that I half do, I am not proud of. Would you like to be a beta reader for my book? I do critiques for authors. So if you want to check out my website, it's there. So many questions. Good luck, Murph. Patricia F. really wants to know, do you like Dickens? I've only read one Dickens book. Holy cow. Wow. Thank you for your donation so much. I've only read one Dickens book, and it was Oliver Twist, and I really enjoyed it. So yes, I'm going to read more. Daniel's here, everybody. Help, I can't actually read and have built an empire of lies. I'm going to keep the charade going. People are getting suspicious. You know, you're in a really random mood today. You've been such an odd duck today. You know, I think you should just come clean. Your subscribers will still be here for you, and or you'll be canceled. Either way, you should come clean. Thoughts on LGBT representation on fantasy? Love you. I love you too. I don't see it very often. And usually if I do see it, it's primarily side characters. So let me think about some what's it called? What is that book called? The Starless Sea is one fantasy book that I recently read whose main character was gay. This Is How You Lose a Time War is a book that I plan on reading fairly soon, and it's sci-fi. So that doesn't answer your question, but it's female. I don't know. Wow. There's just not that. I'm trying to think of main characters, not side characters. And I just haven't read that many. So leave your recommendations in the comments. Everybody's just laughing at Daniel. Really? Oh yeah. Well, that's kind of a spoiler, but you're right. Foundry Side. Thanks, Udi. I completely forgot about that because it's not really, it doesn't happen until the very end. But you're right. Female in Foundry Side. Time War is so good. Listen, I've started it. And the prose are, I know you're supposed to say is after prose, but it sounds, the prose is so purple that I put it down. But I'm going to try it again because the story sounds interesting. Have you heard of Hunter x Hunter? Or is it Versus? Listen, Hunter x Hunter is probably the book, even though it's a manga, I don't know if I'm allowed to call it a book, that has been recommended to me more than anything else in the world recently. Yes, I've heard of it. Ever since I put out my favorite Magic Systems video, that's all I hear. And as soon as the library opens back up, I'm going to see if they have it, because apparently I really need to read it. Would you judge my log line for my first novel and tell me what you think? If yes, I'll tell you and send that same, oh my golly, if that's all right. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but the way you typed that killed my dyslexia, and I'm not entirely sure what you said. But email me, because it sounds like you're talking about critiques. My website is in the description of all my videos, so you can email me through that, or you can just email me through my email, and we can talk about critiquing the first little bit. I'm sorry, guys. Okay. As someone who has dyslexia, have you had times where you don't like reading? And if so, how did you end up liking reading more? I have a friend who has dyslexia and has given up on reading. Yes. So with my dyslexia, I have good days and I have bad days. I have days where I barely really even notice that I have dyslexia, and then I have days where I genuinely just can't read. It's not a possibility. Every single sentence is jumbled and doesn't make any sense. So on my bad days, I plug in an audiobook, because then I can still enjoy a story, and dyslexia doesn't affect hearing, at least not for me. I don't know. It's not a one size fits all thing. So yes, there are times that I hate reading. There are just times where I genuinely can't do it. And that's one of the reasons why I love audiobooks so much, because as a middle schooler and a high schooler reading. I can't express to you how discouraging it is when your very favorite thing in the world is something that you physically can't do sometimes, and something that, like, I always got the lowest grade in school in reading comprehension. I would get like A's and everything, and then reading comprehension was always like a D. And like, for someone who loved reading more than anything else, like, can you understand how discouraging that would be for a kid? So audiobooks. When I discovered audiobooks, it was a game changer for me. It really was. Okay, let's keep going. You're now watching Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's my all-time favorite cartoon. Were you expecting it to be as good as it is? No. The answer is no. I was not. Oh my goodness, I've missed a lot of these. Oh no. I hope I haven't missed too many. Have you ever heard of the Brilliance trilogy by Marcus? No. Brilliance. I will look it up. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up soon because my laptop has 9% battery left. Loved your Snape video and recommended it to my mom. Thank you. I loved my Snape video too. It was probably the video I'm the most proud of that I've ever made. Oh, wow. We already did that one. Let's keep trying. I just want to make sure I'm not missing these because I don't want people to throw their money away. Would you be open to reading Harry Potter fan fiction? A review of Harry Potter and the Psychic Serpent trilogy by Barbs would be great. Love you and your vids. Thank you. I have read so much Harry Potter fan fiction in my life. Sometimes when I feel like I'm in a reading slump, I go find Harry Potter fan fiction because it doesn't get old. Let's see. How do you have a fantasy with no magic system? Do you mean just a soft magic system? I have no idea how to do fantasy without a magic system, so no, and I'm sorry. Why is the $100 one not going away if she hasn't addressed it yet? Did I not address it yet? No, I totally did. Really wants to know, did you like Dickens? It's not going away because the more you donate, the longer it stays there. So like a $5 donation will disappear pretty fast, and a $100 donation will stay forever. Not forever, but for a really long time. The amount that you donate dictates how long it stays on the screen. I should look at these. Oh, I missed one of them. Ever think about reading The Land by Elorian Kong? The Land. I will look it up. Thank you, Daniel. We all hunger striking if you don't start Dresden. I'm gonna start Dresden, sir. I was actually just looking at it on your Audible account because I'm on your Audible account listening to the Wheel of Time books, and I saw Dresden there, and I thought, I need to read that one. So I'm gonna read it because you own them all, so I don't have to buy it. So I will. Oh, dagummit. That one just disappeared. This is not completely true. It's just a soft magic system. It's just not the main focus, and there aren't clear boundaries and lines for the majority of it, but it still has magic in it, a good amount of magic in it, a lot of magical creatures. I skipped some super chats. I'm so sorry. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to prioritize them before they disappear, but I'm clearly very bad at this, and I'm so sorry. Anybody that sent a super chat and I missed you, email me and I will answer your question, or anybody can email me. My emails are open. Paperback or hardcover? I like paperbacks. No, I'm not a demigod, you goob. Okay. Thank you. Most controversial book opinion. Mine is that Lord of the Rings is terrible. Well, you can go home. My most controversial was recently vindicated, and that's that I didn't like Nevernight at all, even a little, not even slightly. But go check out Daniel's channel because it felt really good to finally not be alone. Okay, I'm going to end it here. do you read comics? I am currently reading through the Sandman comics, and that is the only comic I've ever read, but I'm willing to try more. I'm still learning my way around manga and comics, but my battery's at 7%, so I'm gonna go plug it in. Thank you guys for joining me for this live chat, and thank you for dealing with the first one. I'll see you guys later. Bye.